Welcome to Francis Quilts, the site dedicated to the wonderful art of quilting, with a few other fun things thrown in as well. If you like what you see here, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can be notified of future videos. Hey guys, welcome back to Francis Quilts. Well, I think I have finally done it. I think I am finally happy with the background for Sadie the Saddlebill Stork. If you've been watching the blog for the last few days, I have showed you all the different iterations of the background, including working with fabric and trying collaging it and then painting it with one type of paints that I wasn't happy with, using another type of paint that I thought would be fine, and then as I looked at it more and more, I decided it needed a little more work. So this is iteration number 4.5. I didn't start with white fabric, so I figured it didn't have to have an iteration all on its own. I want to show you a little bit of the painting process here. Today I'm going to be showing you the area in the meadow. I'm going to be adding a lot of embellishments to that area with threads and yarns and things like that I'm couching. But I thought I wanted to show you just the painting of that. The funny thing about painting this area, and I haven't edited the video yet, so I'm not sure if they'll end up on there, is I kept saying to myself, you know, that looks good, I think I'll stop. And then I'd get another color of paint and I'd put a little bit more. I think, oh yeah, I think that looks good, I think I'll stop. And I probably made those comments either out loud or in my head 5 or 6 times before I finished. But I'm very happy with it, and let's go to the video. If you have never used sea sponges, this is what they look like. They're very, have a lot of texture in here, which I love. The best thing to do when you first start is to get them wet. So I'm just going to dip it in a little bit of water and wring it out really well. So it's a little bit wetter and softer and more squishy now. And I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm just going to dab it in a little bit of paint. And I'm going to try to get most of that paint off, especially to begin with, because sometimes it's a little bit globby when you first start. So I'm just going to come in here and start putting some little things in here, little taps in here. It's important to turn the sponge different directions because they'll all end up looking the same way if you don't. Sometimes I use different sponges, but honestly, this one has been my favorite for so long, I kind of don't even worry about it anymore. I just use the same one. So my idea here is just to add some more texture to this bottom area. My plan is to put a lot of embellishments and things on it, to put in some grasses and other things. So I just think having it a little bit darker and a little more going on in here before I start adding all of that will just fill it in and make it better. You can see even as I'm doing it, it starts to give it a little more depth, just adding these colors. That's pretty red. It may be too red, we'll just see. Let's add a little bit of darker brown to it. Okay. And now because I know that's going to be too dark, let's add some white. Take my little brush here and mix it up and see what I get. Kind of a pretty color. So we take the sea sponge again. I'm not washing it. I'm not doing anything to it. I'm just going to bring it back in here and dab it down some. And again, try to get a lot of it off and start putting in some more little dobby poos. You like that word? Dobby poos. Yeah, that one is really adding some nice things to it. I'm very pleased with that. And again, this fabric is dry. When I did the initial painting, I painted on wet fabric, and this fabric is dry. And I think that is one of the reasons this sponge is working so much better this time than it did before, is because it does have a little bit of body to it, where before the paints just kind of ran into and melted into the fabric because it was wet. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I think we're going to leave that background. Okay, now I'm also, my final thing, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add some more water to this green paint. And I'm going to see if I can just pick up a little bit on the brush and just make some little
little lines running through it. I'm going to do a whole bunch more, but let's just see if we can put a few in here. Again, super small amount, tiny amount of paint. Just putting some lines in. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Scrape in here. I like that color. I don't have any of that color in there, so let's clean the brush off real well and see if I can come through with some little bits of a different green. Make a few of these longer, and a few of them shorter. And if just little dots are fine too, I don't really care. This is going to be a meadow sort of area, so I think everything I put on is going to make it better. I think I'm about to call this one done. It's just so much fun, I don't want to stop. All right, we're done. Okay, here is the final result. As I said, I'm very happy with how it looks. There were a couple of areas in the painting that I wasn't happy with, but fortunately the neck and body covered up those areas, those transition areas. I think it's going to be a lot of fun now to go in and add a lot more interest to that meadow area using threads and couching and who knows what. And then I will put it all together and layer it up and make sure Sadie's on there well and start doing some machine quilting on it. So I'm excited about this project. Thank you for watching as it has grown. And thank you also for all the comments. People have had wonderful comments and made wonderful suggestions, and I just appreciate all of them. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button to let everybody else know that you liked it. Thanks again for joining me today, and I will see you soon.
Remember, if you like what you've seen, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please check out my website and daily blog at francisquilts.com, and I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Francis Quilts. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.